This is Python's Paradise. I am your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, here on April Fool's Day. I remember I think it was April 11th, if I remember correctly. And I could find out here very, very quickly. On nope, it was not April 11th. April 10th, 2017, I had Mr. Dale Hilton, the comedian himself, here on Python's Paradise. And he talked all about, escorts and raw chicken and the stories he heard when these poor ladies come back that he was supposed to protect. I don't think they really needed his protection if they had raw chicken. But folks, this is a wonderful comedian I have on the phone. He was in Kiki Meets the Vampires. Folks, I give you the awesomely funny Dale Hilton. How do you do, Dale?
Hey, Greg. How's it going, man? Thanks for having me on again.
I'm glad to have you on again. You know, I never forgot about you, man.
Oh, I forget about me all the time. But I had a good time the last time. There's been a lot going on since then, obviously, around the world with COVID, and I've got a few announcements to make, but had a good time and looking forward to this one again. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, we're doing it by Zoom because I'm still not back in the station, and I'm like, I did 18 interviews in 2020.
Wow.
And then we went into lockdown. And I had like 30 people waiting on me, and I was like, for fuck's sake, it's like, I worked through the pandemic as a cleaner, but it's like, it pays bills, but it's like, it doesn't bring me any,
there's no joy. You're not doing what you love.
Yeah. So I had one of my guests, we're talking Friday the 13th. It was actually Nancy McLaughlin, who said, she said, if she can do Zoom, I can do Zoom. And there's actually one of the people from 13 Fanboy, London, England, Carrie Yates, who was my first one on Zoom this year, who helped me I had an interview scheduled on January 4th with a musician, TJ Doyle, who's been on my show now 4 times. And I was getting set up for the whole Zoom thing, and that was when I got home from work, and I remember I posted something about it, and Carrie Yates come on there, and she says, "Do you want me to help you test it?" Because she was in London, England. And I was like, "Yeah." In fact, I made her my first guest with Zoom for 2021, and I'm glad she did that. I really appreciate her doing that, because I would have screwed up with TJ Doyle, but luckily, with people like TJ Doyle, I've had them on before, so if I had them messed up, it's not like I couldn't get them back. So I spent a lot of January, for the most part, with a lot of repeat guests who knew who I was. So, and yeah. But
I know who you are. And that's all that matters. If anybody else doesn't know you, they should. And I'm going to pimp this. I got a lot going on, so I'm going to pimp this when we're done with this. And I know as we speak, we're not sure when the release date's going to be, but when I'm going to pimp it anyway, because I'm good at pimping.
Yes, and I heard all about it.
Although I was charged for it, but never convicted. So maybe I don't know enough to get convicted. I don't know, or I'm too good to be convicted. However,
I don't think you were a pimp. I think you were somebody that was just there to make sure the girls were protected. Were you not?
Yeah, we kept it classy.
We
didn't have anybody underage. We didn't. No human trafficking or anything like that. If there was a girl that was, a little lit, maybe drinking a little too much or something, we would not use her for the evening. we wanted the girls to make more money than us. You know, now that it's over, and I'm talking to Canada right here in Canada, so I can probably say this, then the statute of limitations are up. But when stuff happened, we would, kind of turn a blind eye, and then,
You're not involved. You're not involved with that business anymore, huh?
No. The boss died, the owner.
What was he hit with, raw chicken? Okay, I remember.
It was bad. It was bad raw chicken. That's what it was. And no.
I remember I asked you this question. I'm going to get you to repeat it because it was just too funny. Because when it comes to people in that line of work, and I don't know many of them, but one question I would ask is, what's the weirdest encounter? Not necessarily the most dangerous or anything, because I'm going to tell you, if you go online, some of the stuff people are into is just downright bizarre.
Oh, yeah.
And you told me, tell the raw chicken story, because I never heard that one.
Well, I guess for those that aren't ready tuned into what we're talking about, for a while, I used to work for an escort service in Kansas City. And I did that for 17 years. I started out as a driver. Then at the time, this will date it. When I started, there was a rumor of this thing called caller ID.
Mm-hmm.
So if that tells you how long ago it was, and then I eventually moved up to answering phones, and then I started to manage the place, and then the owner died, and that's the end of it. During that time, crazy things would happen, and what Greg's talking about is one of the weirdest things that ever. One of the weirdest calls. What happened is we would send the girls out, and they would go do their thing and come back and give us what we call the drop, which was our cut of the money.
Mm-hmm.
So this girl comes back and she's paying her drop. She's doing the right thing. And she's, wow, that was a weird one. And I'm like, oh, really? What happened? She goes, he gave me $250 to wrap him in saran wrap and then beat him with a raw chicken. That was it. I'm like, he didn't touch himself. She goes, he was naked, but he didn't touch himself. But he wanted to be wrapped up with plastic. She wrapped up, I guess, his torso, and just started smacking the shit out of him with this raw chicken. And the money was on the table. He said that's where it's at, and her time was up. She got the money and left. He was still wrapped up in saran wrap with like chicken slime all over him. And
gross.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I told you the frying pan story.
I don't remember. Tell it again if you haven't.
This may top it because in my comedy act, I've combined the two, but this in real life, or the real thing was, it was another guy, and he paid a girl she did the same thing, came in and pay her money. That's how I heard about all this. They'd come in and pay their money, and they'd just be like, that one guy, man, he wanted this, he wanted me to do this, he wanted me to do that, and that's how I'd hear all this stuff. And this next guy, he gave a girl $1,000 to shit in a frying pan and then leave. That was it.
Leave?
And then leave. Go. Bye. Yeah.
So you go do fry it? Holy cow. Shit over easy?
Yeah, I'm like, I feel sorry for anybody that wants his dessert. I mean, what's
gross?
What's going on Thanksgiving over there? That's terrible. Yeah, those were the two whammies. There was another conversation. Okay, so here's how it worked. Let's say a guy wanted to talk to a girl. He wants to see a girl, right? He calls me, and I, okay, sir, if you give me 10 minutes, I'll have a lady give you a call. Then I hang up with him. I call one of the girls who's available. I say, I've got this guy here who's he's in such and such town. And all right, the waitress is here with the coffee. And the waitress's name is Jane. Oh, a donut. Oh, I love you. That was the commercial break, by the way.
She didn't bring raw chicken?
She didn't bring raw chicken, no. Thank So
She didn't fry up something in the kitchen.
no, we're not reenacting anything here on this show. I know that'll bring up ratings really good. Next time, have me on. I'll have somebody beat me with a raw chicken. But anyway, I'll do anything. So what I would do is I would call the girl and say, I have this guy. He wants to see such and such, and then I would three-way them on a three-way call, but I would mute myself. So the guys didn't know that I was on the phone listening. And what I was to do is if, say the guy starts talking derogatory, he wants sex, and he starts saying illegal stuff, I've got to disconnect the call. And that's one of the reasons why we did that. Well, my boss, who is this giant Mexican, I've never seen a bigger Mexican. I actually thought he was Samoan. Mm-hmm. Him and one of his friends, his business associates, shall we say, they're in the office and they're listening to this call. It's on a speakerphone. The girl's somewhere else, the guy's somewhere else, but we're listening to this call. And the guy asks her, he says, hey, I was wanting to know, have you eaten today? And she was kind of green. She's kind of new to the business a little bit. And she's like, oh yeah, I ate a little bit ago. Yeah. What'd you have in mind? Were you going to take me to dinner? And he goes, oh no. He's stumbling around. He's like, so if you've eaten today, that means possibly later you might have to go to the bathroom. And then that's when me and my boss were like, oh no. His friend's like, what? And she's on the phone. She's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I would pay extra if, you waited to go to the bathroom here. And she's like, oh. And then me and my boss, oh no. And the other guy's like, what? And she goes, well, I guess I could. And he's like, okay, good. Well, I would pay a little extra if, I could be involved with that. And she goes, okay. And now I'm like getting ready to grab the trash can. I'm like, no, this isn't going to happen. I don't want to hear this. My boss starts laughing. He just starts laughing. This other guy's confused. He's like, what are they talking about? And he's like, give it a minute. And he goes, and this is where it gets gross. He's like, well, he goes, if we do that, he goes, what is it going to come out like? And she's like, what? And he goes, like, texture. She goes, what do you mean? He goes, is it going to be solid? Or is it going to be, not solid? She goes, I don't know. I have no idea what it's going to be like. This part of the conversation goes on. He wants to know what it's going to be like. And she's like, I just had Taco Bell. Well, I think my boss about fainted at that point. And I'm gagging. And the other guy's like, is he talking about what we think we're talking about? And we're both like, yes.
And not in a frying pan.
And not in a frying pan sort of way. So anyway, they end up actually getting into an argument over what the texture of her shit is going to be like. And the call never went through. And then when we disconnected the call, she was like, what the hell is that? Are you guys serious? And my boss is just, whoa! He's laughing his ass off. I'm trying not to puke. There's this other guy that's confused and like he's disgusted. But yeah, that was I hope a news story.
I've never heard that one.
Yeah, it was definitely a conversation. That was the weirdest conversation I ever had to listen to.
I find it funny. I don't understand why there's not an R-rated comedy out there about people's fetishes. Because I
Ah,
find the stuff that turns people on fun. Now, some stuff I knew a girl who got turned on by cutting herself, and I never wanted to hear about it. I could see the cuts on her. She wasn't dating me, but it was kind of disturbing. That's a bit extreme for
yeah.
me, you know. I've heard about people wanting to be shit and pissed on. I guess they call the peeing thing golden showers.
Golden showers. Yeah. The code on that one is that we would get that every now and then to where, and that's kind of what we knew what was going on, because when he said, "Are you hungry?" Because the code for the golden showers was, "Are you thirsty?" So,
Okay.
and we would hear, "Are you thirsty?" And we're like, "Oh no, he wants one of them," you know. Um, one of the real quick, one of the funny things at that time, my boss, he's this guy, he's handling everything. He's a smart guy, and he's answering phones one day, and this guy kept calling, and he's like, "No, I do not have any ladies that speak Greek." And he keeps hanging up on the phone. And then one of the girls is like, what happened? And he goes, "This guy keeps calling and he wants a girl that speaks Greek." And all the girls that are in the room start laughing. He's like, "What?" And he did not know that speaking Greek is a code word for wanting to someone who would do anal.
Oh, well, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, well, you are learning a lot today, sir.
Gee, this is an educational class.
Yes, if in that business, if you hear somebody that says, "Do you speak Greek?" that means they want to do anal.
I
And
hear a lot of things like I don't understand the whole furries thing.
oh yeah, that's
You know,
weird.
people that dress up like animals and go out and have sex. I guess they call that furries. I guess you could see a little bit of something like that in one of those rooms in The Shining. I guess
Right, right.
Shelley
That's
Duvall sees.
but
One of the funniest ones I've seen occasionally in movies is I find this one hilarious as long as it's not gross. Is the whole diaper fetish one?
oh,
Especially, there's a movie out there that I came across. It was in I think it was in Rube Morgue magazine. It was a horror film called Attack of the Adult Babies, and it's about this nurse that's like Elsa, was Elsa of the SS or whatever that movie. It's a woman like that, and they have all these rich men that act like adult babies, and these nurses in there that deal with them, and they kidnap this woman from this family because I guess the husband owes money. So him, his son, and daughter, who are of age, go to try to get her out. And I thought I saw everything in terms of kills. I actually saw one of the nurses get killed by, by, by having a shitty diaper smother her face.
oh,
And I'm
oh,
like, I hope they use chocolate for that because
right.
I would hate to think that I don't even know who what
Can I,
that
can I
scene
have some
was,
Jello pudding with this diaper, please?
but
Can-
that was one of the kills, and I'm like, yeah, that's a kill I haven't seen before.
Yikes!
It was fucking funny. Um, but I'm going to tell you the one thing that always strikes my curiosity when it comes to stuff like this. And this is something I've read about numerous times. And it has to do with people, especially guys, who have either girlfriends or wives that are either into the stripping business or prostitution business and how it affects them.
Right.
And I remember I saw this really shitty religious film. I come from a Christian household, but I'll tell you, a lot of those types of movies are horrible. And The one that
Yeah.
actually got me thinking about this was one called Fireproof with Kirk Cameron.
Oh boy.
Piece of shit movie. But I remember I was criticizing one of the plot things in it because you know, Kirk and his wife are their marriage is in trouble. And the whole idea, you know, they're going to get back at the end because, well, it's obvious within the first 5 minutes everything's laid out.
Right.
But as long as Robertson freaking applauds them, it's all they want. But it sucked. But one part of the movie, there was this surgeon or doctor that was coming on to Kirk's wife because she worked at the hospital.
Right.
And I think one of their big solutions is they have him sitting at his desk and he pulls his wedding ring out and he puts it on like he's thinking about going back to his wife. And like, we never knew he was married. And number two, I was like, a good screenwriter would challenge the audience. How about making the audience think that she cheated, but then we find out through a clever way that she did not cheat?
Right.
I thought Fireproof
Right.
was such a piece of shit. I'd much rather watch Attack of the Adult Babies and shit like Fireproof, but it got me thinking about that situation. And for some weird reason, I got looking it up, and I didn't know what it was called, but I ended up discovering it was called cuckolding.
Uh-huh.
I never knew. Yeah, and I've read a lot of books on it. Now, I'm not involved with anybody, and quite frankly, I'm not saying I would get involved with it because I could be a jealous guy.
Right. Right.
But I'm fascinated with the guys out there that either just turn a blind eye to their significant others doing it, or somehow
They get off on it.
get off on it. Have
Yeah.
you encountered that in this business?
It was rare that actually, you know, I was on the other side.
Okay.
We would have guys come in with their wives and girlfriends, basically pimping them. So
wow.
they would turn the blind eye. They didn't care. There was really 2 or 3 experiences, and all of those experiences, the guy was just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The girls were just absolutely the sweetest things, nice looking girls, just sweetheart of a gal, but they were locked into where, you know, how do I say this without, they just did everything the guy told them to do.
I couldn't do that to a girl. I couldn't.
Yeah, I couldn't either. And, you know, if there was abuse, we looked for abuse, but we couldn't see any physical. Well, one case we did. I won't go into that, but those individuals, those guys would bring those girls to work. They wanted those girls to work. And so they would, you know, turn a blind eye to what their wives were doing. And I think maybe when they got home with all the money, they got all turned on and everything like that. But as far as like cuckolding, where they were there to watch or stuff like that, that really didn't happen. But it was the guys that wanted to pimp. Hey, here's my wife. Get her some calls. It was that side of it, and none of that really ever worked out well. There was because then you got the guy, you know, we knew what we were doing, where we knew places where we would send girls certain areas and stuff like that. And the guys would be like, why won't you send her there?
Mm-hmm.
And we had our reasons. We're not going to send them there. Well, then they would go ahead and go around us and go out there and steal the call and go out there anyway. And then it would, bye-bye, you know, you don't steal calls from us. And you're going into an area that we don't send you to because we know about it. You know, maybe it was, there was areas that we didn't go to that were nice areas. They were safe areas, but the police knew. and we had an understanding with that particular local law enforcement. We just don't go in there. There's a town called Lenexa, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And there for a while, we just would not send anybody to Lenexa. And I'd have friends and other business associates call me and they'd say, hey, man, they're doing stings in Lenexa. And I'd be like, good for them. Good luck to them. Good for them, because we don't go out there. They're not going to get us because we don't go out there. But you'd have those type of arguments with these pimps. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject a little bit. Those weren't, I guess, necessary. The cuckold. I don't know if you'd call them cuckolds, but they did know, and they didn't care. As far as the people that wanted to watch or be involved somehow, never really. If that went on, we didn't know about it.
And then sometimes it's to the opposite extreme. Like I'm thinking about Requiem for a Dream. There was a moment there where everything went wrong.
Yeah.
And Jared Leto says to Jennifer Connelly, who I think is one of the most beautiful women in movies right now.
Yeah.
Says, you go to this guy or whatever, and she has to go have dinner with this guy, and she looks dressed to the nines, and she has to have sex with this guy to get money so that her friggin' pathetic boyfriend can go score.
Yeah.
Because we all know where that goes.
Yeah.
And you really feel bad for Jennifer in this because she's going down a bad path, and it's kind of his friggin' fault.
Yeah.
But
that movie made me want to take a shower after I watched
I loved the movie.
Oh, it's a great movie.
I agree with you. It was a hard watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of hard to watch movies, have you ever seen or heard of the movie Irreversible?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Oh, I'm getting off here on a totally different subject, but Irreversible is a movie, a French movie, and it's oddly paced, where you kind of watch the scene, and when the scene is over, instead of going forward, that goes backwards. You see what happens before, that scene. Okay. And so it's irreversible, so it's backwards right off the bat. So it takes a minute to figure out you're like, okay, this is how they're doing the movie. Okay, we're watching everything backwards, in a sense. I wanted to call 911 during a particular scene in that movie because I just couldn't believe that was happening. It's a rape scene, and the guy is full frontal nudity, and he is not soft. And I was like, wow, they're really getting away with this. And this lady should get an award for Best Actress, and she should get therapy. But that was I don't know now. I wish I hadn't brought it up. It's a good movie, but I don't recommend it to women. It's just
I haven't seen it. I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I certainly don't know any of this.
Yeah, that was a rough movie. I showed it to a friend of mine, and when this particular scene comes up, I got up and walked out of the room. When I came back in, he's my friend that was watching it. He's looking at me. He's like, "Can we turn this off for a minute? I need a breath of fresh air." It was that effective. And to guys, it was a guys, and what happens is a terrible thing to a woman, and so that I apologize for bringing up Irreversible. Ladies, watch it at your own discretion. Anyway, it's a French movie. And they get away with a lot.
Going back to the cuckolding thing too, I remember when what was that movie with Demi Moore and Robert Redford? Indecent Proposal.
Yes.
I remember when that was released. That was the year I turned 21. And I remember I didn't see the movie at the theater, but I remember it was being talked about on the radio.
Uh-huh.
And here was the question that they talked about what the plot was. You know, Woody Harrelson and Demi Moore are happily married, and she, of course, stunning. And Robert Redford plays this rich guy who offers, what was it, $1 million or something to Woody Harrelson if he can have her for a night. And the question went out over the radio, how would people respond? And people would call in and respond, you know, would they take the money? And I remember just being fascinated with that too, the whole mindset of that. I see a lot of sex scenes in movies that you know, are they're just a sex scene, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I agree with what Decent Proposal did, but there's a lot of times like stuff like this, like 50 Shades of Grey, you know, I don't care, you know. But
Right.
yeah, but stuff like that I find very provocative.
Right.
And it asks questions that people really don't want to answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
What
So
would you do in the, like, what would you do in that situation, you know? And
I find it fun, like I said, when I hear about women that are either into stripping or pole dancing or prostitution or what have you, my first thought is, are they involved with somebody, and how does that affect the person they're involved with? And I'm always fascinated with the guys that are fascinated by it, because a lot of guys, and this is true for most every guy, we all like good looking women.
oh yeah,
You know,
certainly.
I like, my big crush right now is Emma Stone. Of course, she's married and she's now married, but I think Emma Stone's beautiful. Classically, I say Grace Kelly's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Jennifer
Right.
Connelly, of course, we have mentioned.
Yeah.
But you know, a lot of guys, they'll go out there, especially guys that aren't overly confident about themselves. They'll go out there and they'll have this beautiful woman, and they
Uh-huh.
want other people to notice.
Trophy.
But yeah, they want other people to notice, but it's like something dangling in front, almost like it's being dared upon poachers, so to speak.
Right.
And it's yeah, the whole psychology and mindset of that whole thing. Of course, I'm single, and I stay single to avoid this shit. But I see a lot of messed up stuff like this. But except for beating people raw chicken, I haven't noticed that. I might have to see if I can stage that one. But yeah, when you mentioned that you had done that line of work at one point, I can't believe you did it for 17 years.
Yeah, I
But
can't believe I did either. You know, I was burnt out on it at the end, and when he died, there was a relief because I was already going, you know, I was already doing comedy at that point, and I was kind of relieved. I have to admit, it's been a while now that I actually miss it. I miss it. It's a different animal now because we verified everybody, and that was part of the service that we offered to the girls. Well, now you can verify anybody. Get on Facebook, you know, and it's all over with. So our part is now obsolete. They don't need me. So it's really kind of a different business now, and but I'm glad. I miss it, but I'm glad I'm not in it because there was just a lot. You know, there was a lot to it. I had a gun pointed at me.
what happened there?
That I was driving a girl. She was a beautiful. She was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
And she was Italian. She was an Italian blonde chick. And she was young and she was nervous and she's green. And she didn't, it was one of her first calls. And this was, this was in the day of the pager. And we would get codes on our pager on whether the girl was okay and how long she was going to be in there in the call. Well, this particular time, I had to pee. I had to pee really bad. And so I'm waiting for she goes in and I wait a little bit and I get the page saying that everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be out in 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, good. All right. So I get out of the car and I go around to the side of this guy's house, and he had a very nice house.
Mm-hmm.
And start to do my thing. As I'm doing that, I hear a click and I turn my head and there's a pistol right there. I mean, he could have dug my eyes out with it. And they say that guys can't stop peeing. Yeah, you can. So I've got this pistol in my face and I just froze. And he goes, see, I told you I could have got him. And he had her in a headlock. As he pulled away and I pulled away, he had her in a headlock and he kind of, chucked her with his hip and he threw her, he had her in a headlock and he just kind of bumped her and threw her. He was naked. She was naked. She was crying and he just turned around and walked off. And when I was told if a situation was to happen, just get the girl out of there. And I had a blanket in my car. I picked her, kind of helped her up, got her to the car, got her in the car, threw the blanket over her. She's crying. I got in my car and we drove off. We drove to a payphone. I called the office. I explained what went on. And then they're like, get to the office now. So we get to the office. And what I found out is when she was in there, she was new. So she didn't know really how to handle things. And all she said was, I have a driver outside. Well, this guy was tweaked out. He'd been doing meth. And so he got paranoid and they got into an argument after she'd already called the office saying everything's okay. Then they get into an argument about her having a driver. Well, I guess they got into an argument and all that. He got her in a headlock and told her that he could take me out. And so they were getting ready to do whatever it is they were going to do. So they're both naked. And then he came out there and did that. So what I did is I take her to the office.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. I took her to the office and my boss was already there waiting. And he had a wad of money and there's other girls there waiting for calls. And he's like, okay. He starts whipping out money and he's like, go get her some clothes, go take care of her. And he's like, honey, we'll get your stuff back. Don't worry about it. Just, you're going to be okay. And she's still crying and he's comforting her and letting her know everything's going to be okay. He says to me, you did a good job. Stay here with her. Okay. And then he leaves. And about 2 hours later, he came back. He had all of her clothes. He had all of her belongings, her purse, her keys. It was all folded up nice. He sets it down on the table and he goes, like I was saying earlier, they had what we call the drop. He goes, don't worry about the drop. You don't owe us any money. He goes, here's your money for your time. The guy tipped you and he gave her more and he gave her more money than what she should have gotten. The guy didn't tip her. Anyway, she gets all of her stuff back, nice, neat, and folded, and all of her money back within 2 hours. of this big giant Mexican going to, take care of business and why. So I don't know what happened, but I can tell you it wasn't probably pretty nice. It was a lot worse than getting a gun stuck in your face while you're taking a pee.
So that guy that's pointed the gun at you and basically assaulted her, he was probably in rough shape after the end of that night.
Yeah. And of course he never called again. And he was actually in a nice area. There's a area in Kansas City, Missouri, Lee Summit. It's a nice, wealthy area, and well, part of it is. And that he had a nice house, and he was just high on meth, and I think that was probably her last call. She didn't work with us anymore after that, and I don't blame her, and there's really no school on, how do you teach girls stuff. They just got to kind of learn it on their own, but staring down the barrel of a pistol, that'll wake you up in the morning. They bottle that up and sell it as coffee. And so there were other things involved, other things involved besides getting beat with a raw chicken. There was the tough,
Yeah, I don't think you can create a whole lot of humor out of that situation.
No.
No.
But anyway,
no.
There would go ahead.
I was gonna say, again, stuck on the cuckolding thing. The girls that were doing this, were they involved with guys, like in relationships? And I want to know how those fellas reacted to it.
Greg, I'll tell you this. I actually dated one and lived for a little while. I lived with a girl that was an escort.
Okay.
And she did it periodically.
Uh-huh.
And so maybe I can get right to it, because I and some of them I dated, I didn't live with them, but I would just go out with them. Mm-hmm. And that was more like I guess you could say those were like one night stands or a little fling or something, to where that it didn't bother me, and of course I was in that business. So it didn't bother me because I knew that 9 times out of 10, those girls did not like the customers. Mm-hmm. Or, they were cordial with them. Excuse me here. They were cordial, nice and friendly, but there wasn't going to be any ring on anybody's finger.
No.
And the same way, it was the other way around, the girls that I dated for, more than just going out on a date, or the one girl that I lived with in particular, we just had an understanding. I didn't pimp her out or anything like that. As a matter of fact, she probably didn't get many calls while being with me. And a lot of her calls were bachelor parties. Mm-hmm. So, and that would be more on, like, say, if a guy dated a stripper or something like that. The girl that I lived with for a while, the calls that she would go on, and she went on regular calls, I won't lie, but most of them were bachelor parties. And I would even go and bounce and for them. And to me, that was everybody just having a good time.
I was to one bachelor party in my life, and they had a stripper at it. And there, of course, there was a guy there with her, and the guy brought this boom box or whatever, where they play this music. And it's the first time I ever seen anything like that, So
that's the part I miss. I miss doing the bachelor parties, because everybody was everybody was having a good time. Greg, let me tell you about the first bachelor party I ever did that I bounced for was insane. And we've got time, don't we? I don't know how much.
Go ahead. Yeah, there's no time limit.
This is a good one, man. This is
okay.
So I'm new. I've been doing this, and this is how I started. That's how I started. Was this girl was a neighbor of mine. She was hotter than hotter than McDonald's coffee.
Okay.
And so, and then one day I saw her. I knew her. I knew who she was. And one day I saw her, and she was having car problems. And I ended up, long story short, taking her to work. And then that became a habit. That became a thing. And then we became friends and all that. And I took her to work at the club. She worked at a strip club. Well, she wanted to go further with it and do bachelor parties for this escort service. And I'm like, okay. So she got hooked up with the escort service, but she had me be her personal driver and bouncer for bachelor parties.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got involved with the escort service, was through that.
Okay.
Anyway, one of her first calls was this bachelor party, and there was supposed to be 7 to 10 guys there. So it's me, her, and we get there, and it's probably at least 50 guys. So it's 50 guys and just me and her. And I'm new, and she's fairly new. She's used to doing all this in a club environment, but not in a fucking barn. I will say this barn, they had, it had a cement floor, and they had a heater, and they had a keg, and they had barbecue, and there was 50 of them, and they were all young wannabe cowboys. They were all in their early 20s. And we get there, and right off the bat, they were all gentlemen. They were all nice, except for one guy. There was this little room that she wanted to get dressed up in and change costumes.
Okay.
And so we get there, and we get our money together and everything that they're supposed to give us right off the bat. Everything's fine, going well. And we find this room that she could get dressed up in. And right off the bat, this guy just keeps sticking his head in the door, and he's drunk. He's already ahead of the pack. And he's, hey, is she going to get naked? She going to get naked? And I'm like, yeah, man, you're going to have a good time, man. Just, we got to get, she got to change costumes, and give us a minute, and she'll be out to do the show.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, that's fine. Well, he kept doing it, just right after. And I'm like, I'm starting to get upset right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, there's this guy named Tex.
Yeah.
And as you can tell, a guy named Tex is probably not going to be small. He says, hey, buddy, you got a problem with him? And I thought he was going to get angry with me. And I'm like, well, he needs to, leave her alone so she can get ready. He goes, that's all right. We'll take care of it if he does it one more time. He couldn't have got it out quicker. And he starts to do it again. And he stuck his head in the door again. And I'm like, if you do that again, your head's not going to come back. And about that time, this hand just grabs that head and engulfs his head. And they took him out. And they took him outside and beat the shit out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the beginning of the story. So then she was giving lap dances to all these guys, and they kept getting closer and closer. And all it was is they wanted to see. They weren't being handsy, or they were behaving. They were being gentlemen. They just couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
But so they kept getting closer and closer. And she would do these lap dances, and every time she broke a chair. And when she broke the chair, it was like it rained cash. They were like, woo, all right. And so she broke this chair. And so they get another chair, and she's doing another lap dance, and that chair breaks. So cash just keeps just flying everywhere. Woo, everybody's having a great time. Well, the bachelor and the best man, if I remember this very clearly, they both they were not brothers, they weren't related, but they looked like twins.
Mm-hmm.
And the best man kept scooting in. He kept scooting in, wanting to get closer. And she'd be like, back off, honey. Hold on, you're getting a little too close. Well, she had these spiked heels. And man, these spiked heels were not bullshitting. They were spiked. They were long. And he keeps scooting in. It's getting dark. Can you see me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, all right.
She
And
goes all single white female on him, doesn't she?
kinda. She's doing a lap dance on the guy who's getting married.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing this lap dance on him, and everybody's hooting and hollering. There's people sitting on each other's shoulders, looking at everything. And she goes, "Hi, thank you. That's our technical." Give it up for James Johan, the waitress and light technician. She's doing this lap dance.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's having a great time. And at one point, she tells me, she goes, "I'm going to do something I've never done before." I'm like, "Okay, what's that?" She goes, "I'm dropping my panties." I'm like, "Okay." She goes, "You just collect the money." So she takes her panties off. She's totally nude. I don't get to see anything at all. I just get to see cash, just this mountain of cash, like a river of cash. And all I'm doing is scooping up cash, putting it in my pockets. I'm not even counting it. I'm just taking it. So she's done that. Then she starts doing this lap dance for the bachelor. She's doing it. The best man keeps getting closer and closer. And are we still on?
Yep.
Okay. So at one point, he gets so close that the heel of her shoe hits him in the fucking eyeball, and blood just starts coming out. And he grabs his face, and it was weird because the music stopped. I don't know how that worked out, but everybody got real quiet, and he's holding his eye, and there's blood coming through his fingers. And it's not slow. It's not a little dribble. It's kind of coming out at a good speed. And I'm like, "Dude, are you all right?" And he's just like, takes his hand off his eye and he goes, "Whoa!" like that. And everybody went back to whoa.
Wow.
And yeah, ripped this almost, I don't know what happened, but they got it to stop bleeding. But so then after that we were supposed to be there for 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
They kept us there for almost 4 hours. So every half an hour I had to leave. And again, this was before cell phones. I had to leave and go across the street to this house and make a phone call. And that, "Oh, they want us longer. They want us longer." And they would pay. They were paying.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, this is how I really got hired, really, I guess you could say. Finally, at the end, it was time to go.
Mm-hmm.
We've got all our money. She's got everything packed up. She's now back into regular clothes. We're getting into the car, and every one of those guys, I wish I had a picture of it. Every one of those guys were all in a group. It was like a group picture. But they were all, and every one of them was, they had that look of, every one of them you could tell was in love. And because she'd given everybody there a dance. And I don't think half of them have ever been laid before, but they were all swooned, if that's the right word. They were all like, "Ah, ah," they were like that. And the guy texts, the one guy from earlier, he goes, "So, hey, let me ask you a question. What would happen if we just decided we wanted our money back?" And I think some of the other guys were like, "Huh?" And I was like, oh, okay. I think I know what you mean." He goes, "Yeah. What if we wanted our money back right now?" And I had this really cool leather jacket at the time. And again, one of my first times bachelor party is my first real bachelor party. And I didn't know what to do, but this is how I played it off. I totally bullshitted my way. I patted my jacket and I go, "Well, 9 of you aren't going to make it." And see, all I had on me, Greg, was a set of keys. I had a set of keys on me. That's all I had on me as far as any kind of protection.
Mm-hmm.
But I pat my jacket like I've got a pistol. And I go, "Well, 9 of you aren't going to make it." And I go, then I got over here in this pocket, I got me a good buck knife. "Maybe 3 more of you aren't going to make it." And then I put up my dukes, and I'm like, and then I got my dukes. I'm like, nah, I'm no Charlie Chan. Maybe one, maybe two aren't going to make it. I go, but the rest of you are going to beat the shit out of me. You're going to take all your money back. You're going to do whatever it is you're going to do to the girl. And whatever you're going to do to my car, whatever you're going to do, what you're going to do. I go, but the thing is you guys don't understand is this money has to go to other people. And those people want their money. And if they don't get their money, and I pointed right at the bachelor, the guy getting married. I go, if they don't get their money, they're going to go to the wedding and go to his wife's parents to get that money. And every one of them went, oh, it was one of those you had to be there. And we're like, so that's what would happen. See you later. We got in the car and took off. And I made $750 that night.
Okay.
The agency made $1,500 that night. And I think she made like almost $3,000 is what she made. That's how much money we made in that very first night. And when I told the boss, I said, yeah, they got a little freaky on me there at the end. And I told him what I did, and he was like, ha, ha, ha. He laughed like Jabba the Hutt. Ha, 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 ha. And he's like, that's good. You got out of that one. And he goes, you can stay on and drive for us as long as you want. And that was my first real, I hope that, I hope your viewers were entertained by that.
I gotta say too, for all the humor and raw chicken stories and shitting in frying pans, I gotta say there is an extreme danger to the female and even the driver when they go in, because you guys don't know what kind of situation you guys are going into either.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, even then, there was those. I think I've told you the worst things that have happened to me. Those were the worst things that had happened to me. There wasn't hardly any. It's there. The danger is there.
Well, what about guys that want to tie the girls up?
None of the girls would have that.
Okay.
If they did, it was on a regular, what they would call somebody that would see somebody, the same person over and over again.
Okay.
That would be that girl's regular. Like, hey, Lisa, it's one of your regulars. He's calling again. She'd be like, okay, tell him I'll be ready at 2:00. They'd be that simple.
Okay.
Sometimes when a girl had a regular, they might have done that.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, that was a big no-no. And of course, if they did do that, there was a lot more money available or going to be involved.
How much money for shitting in a frying pan?
He came for $1,000. He came for $1,000.
I'm just having this image. I'm just having this image of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Shit over
visual.
easy.
It's a terrible visual.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Just when
Is that a stick fry pan? Does that stick to the pan? What does it do? Do you need oil?
Oh my god. Well, you told me about the raw chicken thing and then you topped it with this. I'm like, holy cow. I could not imagine paying somebody, let alone a woman, to shit in a fucking frying pan.
Oh yeah. And then leave.
And then tell her, like, seriously? And he gave her $1,000 for that?
Yeah.
I could think of better things to spend $1,000 on.
Oh yeah. I don't know. He had a lot of money to burn, I guess. But
fuck.
I know. But those, and I would try to tell those stories in comedy, and I really wouldn't get a laugh. I had the crowd glued to me. The crowd was just like, 5-year-olds at library, school time, or story time. They're just, but they're not laughing. And you gotta get them to laugh. You're like, okay, I just told you a cool story. Give me something back here, folks. So it was tough taking the the escort service material and then putting it into a comedy. I mean, we're doing it now and we're laughing about it now.
I think it's fucking funny.
It's funny, but I just couldn't get the laughs that you needed to, to keep the material. Now I do have, I took all of that and I brought it down to like about a 2 or 3 minute bit. And I don't know if I've ever gone over this. I'll give you, if it's okay.
Sure.
I'll do my little escort service joke.
Okay.
The joke is, before I got into comedy, I had 2 full-time jobs. I have to work 8 hours at one job, get done with that, got to hurry up, get to the next job, work another 8 hours back to back. I asked the crowd, I'm like, anybody ever have to do this? Anybody ever have to, do that? And like maybe 2 or 3 people will go, yeah. And I'm like, okay, 2 people there. The rest of you are lazy. And so in the daytime, I worked for a self-storage facility. This is true. Like on Storage Wars.
Yeah.
And if I answered their phones a certain way, I would get a bonus. And at night, I worked for the escort service. And if I answered their phones a certain way, I'd get arrested. And sometimes I'd be so tired, I'd get my phone conversations all mixed up. At nighttime, guys would call me and they'd be like, hey, what do your girls look like, huh? And I'd be like, well, there's blondes, brunettes, redheads, there's busty girls, there's petite girls. Some are short, some are tall, some are 5'5", 5x10, 10x20. You can park a bass boat in some of them. And in the daytime, if you think that's bad, in the daytime, little old ladies would call me up and they'd be like, how much are your storage facilities? And I'd be like, $250 an hour. Plus tips. Well, for that kind of money, I'll just sell my body. And I'm like, well, we're hiring. That's how I got that to be funny. And but yeah, I tell them anything else and they're just like, huh? Wow. But that's how that came to be. And we came to I started doing comedy because we had gotten raided at the escort service.
Okay.
There was a handful of escort services at that time in Kansas City, and they took down every one of them, but us. I mean, they came at us and they raided us. I was not at the office when they did that, and hey, it's daytime. Thank you, sir. We got raided. And before that, everybody all the girls, all the phone people, my boss, I was always sitting around waiting, to drive girls. And while we're sitting there waiting on calls, I'd just be cutting it up, just cracking jokes and stuff like that. Well, at one point, they were begging me to do stand-up comedy. So I got to thinking about it and everything like that. Well, then we got raided, and this girl that I was dating, she says, if you don't do, she goes, I'm going to be gone for a month. If in that month, if you haven't gotten up and tried to do stand-up comedy at an open mic, I'm cutting you off and I'm kicking you out. And so, okay. And so I didn't tell any of my friends. And I went and did an open mic night, my first time doing comedy. And I got to tell you, I killed it. My first joke to this day rocked the house. And they only gave you 3 minutes. And my first joke just destroyed. And I knew right then and there, I'm like, this is for me. I found my calling off that first joke. And then the rest of the set went okay. And so immediately when I got done, now I'm on the phone with all my friends and all my family. I'm a comedian now. I am a comedian. I have done comedy and I've killed, and I will be on HBO next week. And HBO, that just dated me. Um,
And they told
but-
you to come home and have your shit omelet. I'm sorry, my mind is still on that.
You're never going to go to IHOP again without thinking of that, you know? What do they have in Canada? What is it in Canada? What is it, Denny's? Is it IHOP? What do you guys have up there?
Nothing that serves that.
I'll have the shit omelet. Is it a number 2? I'll have the number 2.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God.
You performed at Dangerfields, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
You see, that is a major thing. Did you meet Rodney?
No, he had passed, and
Okay.
I would have loved. If I'd have met Rodney Dangerfield, that'd have been great. But I did play at Dangerfields.
Mm-hmm. Because he was very supportive of upcoming comics, and Sam Kinison has said it, and so is Roseanne Barr and Tim Allen and Jim Carrey and people like that.
None of them would be around if it wasn't for him.
Exactly.
He was such a he was a funny guy, but he shared it. He shared it, and he gave us all a lot of talent that not a lot of people would have ever heard of if it wasn't for him. People could say, well, I don't like Rodney Dangerfield's humor. Okay, that's fine, but
I love his humor.
I love his humor too. But even if you don't like the guy scooted on other comics for us to all hear and love. And the Dangerfields, it was bittersweet. It was bittersweet. I was there on just a tough night, and I don't want to say anything bad about the club, and I think they're closed now because of COVID.
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
What's it like COVID-wise where you are right now? We're in the yellow phase here now, which is close to, like, you go from yellow and then to green, and green your home front.
I don't know where we are on that. I do know I'm on where I live. Technically, where I'm sitting right now is in the state of Kansas.
No, you're sitting in a chair.
Oh, Greg, you smart fellow, you. Don't be a smart ass. Anyway, the chair is located in the state of Kansas. No, Dale, it's in a house. I will kick your ass. But I'm literally maybe 10 minutes from the state line to Missouri. In Kansas, they're still pretty adamant about the face masks, and you can't really go in anywhere without a face mask.
So you wear a Groucho Marx one, right?
I do. I wear what I do is I wear a piece of raw chicken over my mouth.
You know what you should do?
Punch me in the mouth. I got money for you.
You should go into one of those supermarket things where they do the whole where you sample food and stuff, and you say, "Guess what I got in the frying pan?"
Oh man, will you pay my bail? Will you, after they throw me in jail, you're gonna bail me?
No, I'm gonna film it and put it on YouTube and get rich off of that.
Oh. The story that I was telling you about the girl talking to the guy, and he's wanting to know what the texture of her crap's going to be like when it comes out of her ass.
Oh, we're back to that. Sure. Let's
real quick. My boss's friend, he goes, "Is this legal?" And my boss goes, "It's not illegal." And so
it's just ill.
Yeah, ill. Very, very ill. What the hell was I talking about?
Talking about Dangerfields.
Dangerfields was a bittersweet thing for me. It was comics will know what I'm talking about when I say this. It was an open mic, or it was a kind of a best of or whatever. And so the room is full. There's 8 people in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
and there's like 16 comics. And one of those people in the crowd was my girlfriend. So I only have one person there supporting me. And the other 7 apparently thought that it was some kind of contest because they're all there to see one guy. And that one guy goes on and they're like, woo, yay, yay. That was the only action we saw from the crowd that whole night. Wow. So what I'm about to tell you is I got to Dangerfields in New York City and ate it. No one laughed. Not even my girlfriend. She laughed a little bit, but no one laughed. I was supposed to do 15 minutes. As I'm walking on stage, the guy goes, do 7. Parking was $10. The entrance fee, they didn't comp any tickets, so my girlfriend had to pay $20. A Jack and Coke was $19.
Oh my fuck.
There was a $2 drink, two drink minimum. She bought me her second drink was my drink, which was a bottled water that was warm, and that was $9. There was a $4 mandatory tip. And the guy,
give them a tip, lower your prices.
yeah. Come down a little bit on that. But I like it was cool to be there. I don't want to talk shit on the club, but it was a bad night for comedy just because of the layout. You get a room full of comics, no one's gonna give a shit,
Mm-hmm.
And,
do you have any comedians? Who are your influence? Like who do you style your humor after?
Well, I try to be original, but I can't say that I've been affected by Sam Kinison.
I love Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinnison's energy and his delivery, I probably have lifted a little.
I've had his brother on here in tribute to him.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, Bill.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's up on my YouTube channel too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I think 2018 it might be.
Wow. I feel kind of honored. Sam Kinison. The first I can't talk. I got to talk about George Carlin.
George Carlin's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, he's just brilliant, and all the way to the end, he was brilliant. When I was a little kid, I was waiting for the show, The $6 Million Man.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for that to be on. The Bionic Man, the $6 Million Man. I could never make that sound effect. But that's the show I wanted to watch. But the show that was on before that, I think was Laugh In or something. Anyway, there was a guy with long hair, and I was like 6 years old. I was a little kid, and he goes, I go up to get, the stewardess said, get on the plane. And he said, I'm not getting on the plane, I'm getting in the plane. And at 6 years old, I got it. I laughed at it, but I asked my mom, I'm like, what's the deal? What is this? And she goes, that's a stand-up comedian. He tells jokes. And right there at 6 years old, I'm like, that's what I want to do for a living. I want to tell jokes. And so he was my first inspiration. In 8th grade, I had a science teacher who had dementia
Mm-hmm.
or Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And he just wanted people to be quiet. So he would tell the class, hey, just do whatever you want to do, but be quiet. And that was the time when Eddie Murphy's Delirious came out. So we played Delirious in science class. And I think that's where I learned my timing from Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor. There was a time.
Oh man, yeah.
Richard Pryor, me and my cousin, we were probably 10 or 11. And we were walking, we were doing what? I don't know what the hell we were doing, but we went up to this garage sale and they had a Richard Pryor album for sale. We didn't know anything about Richard Pryor except that he told jokes. Mm-hmm. So we bought the album. My cousin bought the album, and it was, I remember now, it was Live on the Sunset Strip.
Yes.
And we came home and he's like, Mom, look what I got. And she takes a look at it, my aunt. She takes a look at it and she goes, oh, hell no. And took it from us and then told us to stay outside and play. And then they went inside and listened to it. So we were pissed. We were two 10-year-old pissed off kids listening to them laugh at the album that we bought. We were like trying to listen to it and to the so I'd say my influences are Sam Kinison, George Carlin, Eddie Murphy, and Richard Pryor as far as to get me started.
I'm going to tell you another good one too is Stephen Wright.
Yes.
Oh,
yes, Mr.
I thought
Deadpan.
he was great. Yeah, his deadpan delivery was perfect. I think he was one of the best as well. Robin Williams, I always liked.
Yep.
Robin Williams.
Not a lot of people liked him when he first started. He was kind of known as a joke thief, and then there people would confront him, and he would act. From what I heard, he would give them money. But at the beginning, he was a joke thief, and then there was.
Now they're saying that about Dane Cook apparently now.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything from him in a long time.
There was a little bit of a controversy over him a little while back over that. I never heard him do stand-up before, so I couldn't tell you either way. So
stick with the classics. That's all I got to say about that. Comics hate joke thieves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know about Carlos Mencia.
No.
Oh my, you ought to look it up on YouTube. Joe Rogan calls him out. And Carlos Mencia is a horrible joke thief. And he doesn't deny it. As a matter of fact, there's some video where he says he's like sampling it like rap. Like when rap music takes a part of a song and that he's sampling it. And it's like, no, dude, you're taking people's jokes. And that's just not cool. The trick to that is to, like my escort service joke that I told you, no one's going to steal that. It's too involved with, it's too close to me. Mm-hmm. And you got to try to write stuff that's close to you that, people aren't going to steal, but it happens. And how you handle that is you just write another joke. And I had a joke about eating pussy, and it was when you first start out in comedy, you're real dirty. As you get older in comedy, you get a little more cleaner. But me and my friend are watching a Robin Williams special right before he left us. Robin Williams is doing this joke about eating pussy, and my friend just turns and looks at me. He goes, dude, Robin Williams just stole your joke. And he almost did it word for word verbatim, but he does something with his elbow and he made it a little bit more funnier. And I'm like, there's no way Robin Williams was in a fucking pizza parlor on a Friday night, listening to my set.
No.
I put it down as great minds think alike.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to scrap that joke because he's obviously, one of the greats and one of the more popular comedians. People see him do that joke and they see me do that joke. They're going to go, oh, you stole that from Robin Williams. Well, no, I didn't. I've been doing it before him, so in my defense, I didn't steal the joke. I never did steal that joke, but I had to scrap it because he was doing it. It was too similar.
You want me to tell you who I find funny? Is Kate McKinnon. I think she's hysterical.
I've never heard of her.
Kate McKinnon. Oh, gee, she was Saturday Night Live. She was, she's in Office Christmas Party. She's in, yeah, she was in the female Ghostbusters, and I actually thought she was funny in that. But
where have I been?
I don't know. I think she's hysterical. So actually, there was a thing online when they had Ryan Gosling guest star on Saturday Night Live, he could not hold a straight face sitting beside her. You know, she was just that funny.
Right.
And personally, although she's not a comic, I think Emma Stone is hilarious.
Uh-huh.
Emma makes me laugh. And of course, I
Yeah.
think she's beautiful, but Emma makes me laugh. Anna Kendrick also makes me laugh
Yeah.
because they're not comedians, but there's just something about them that makes me laugh
Yeah.
about the personality. Yeah.
Have you heard of Eliza Schlesinger?
I know that name. Yes.
If if you ever have her on your show, let me know. I've got she's in a new movie with Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. What's that guy? Mark
Mark
Wahlberg.
Wahlberg.
There's a movie on. It's brand new that it came out on Netflix. Spencer, the Spencer Chronicle or Spencer something. It's on Netflix. It just came out like maybe a few months ago at most. And she plays his girlfriend in the movie. And I got to work with her a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at her on here now.
We were in the green room before the show, one of the shows, and somehow sushi came up. And I said, I've never had sushi before. And she just like somebody slapped her in the face. She goes, "What? You've never had sushi?" I said, "No." She goes, "We're going now." And she actually took me out for sushi, which was kind of cool. And then that same week, we had a Sunday show at the comedy club. And she was supposed to get picked up at the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
And she has this a service dog.
Okay.
I don't want to say what her medical condition was. I don't want to talk about it.
That's fine.
But she has a service dog, but she had to walk from the hotel to the comedy club, which wasn't horrible. But if you're not from the area and it's cold and you're expecting a ride, she had every right to bitch. And she came in and she was like the female version of Lee Ermey from Full Metal Jacket. She was like,
"Okay,
what is your major malfunction? Why did you not pick me up at the? I had to walk and blah blah blah. It is cold, you mother." She's just going off, and everybody at the club's like, "Oh, we're sorry." And the night before, my house was set on fire.
Okay.
And yeah, that's a whole other story there. But that was the Saturday night after the Saturday night shows. I found out my house was set on fire. The next day we're doing a Sunday show and I toughed it out. I go in to do the Sunday show after my house, after I've lost everything. And she's barking and bitching and everything like that. And everybody's calmed down. She gets, "So how's your night?" Or she goes, "How are you doing?" I go, "Well, last night my house was set on fire." And she goes, "Well, I'll shut the fuck up then." Anyway, that's Eliza. She's cool.
I just looked her up. Yeah, she sounds like somebody I should reach out to.
Yeah, if you do, let me know. She may or may not remember me.
Okay.
I'm sure if you mention the guy and I used to end my sets. I don't do it anymore, but when I would get done with my comedy set, I would get the crowd to say, "Fuck you, Dale." And I did that for a long time. And so she might remember me that when she sees me, she goes, "You still have the crowd say, 'Fuck you, Dale'?" And I'm like, "No, not anymore." But that was a thing that everybody knew me as. There for a while there, I'd be walking down the street, and if anybody knew me, I'd just hear somebody go, "Fuck you, Dale." And I'm like, "Yeah, fuck you too." It was all in fun.
Yeah. Does she shit in a frying pan for you? Does she beat you of raw chicken?
She did not shit in a frying pan or beat me with a raw chicken. No. As much as I wanted her to. She's good people. I work with a guy now a lot. His name's James Johan. He's like, dude, I heard about your fire. As a matter of fact, that's where I'm at right now. It's his house. But he's like, I heard your fire. He goes, and there was a benefit for all the people that lived in that house. It was an old house renovated into apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl that lived below me, she was getting kicked out. She was getting evicted. And instead of moving, she set her apartment on fire, and her apartment was right under mine.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, pretty much cooked everything in my I had a framed picture of Scarface, and it melted. I had a piece of paper for a band called Propane, and a heavy metal band, real heavy band. And the paper made it through the fire, but the picture did not. And I'm like, metal never burns. Anyway, that's that's just me being stupid. But she set the place on fire. My buddy Jane, and then there's a bunch of comics that wanted to do a benefit show for not just me, but everybody that lived there. And James couldn't make it, and so he calls me up, and I'd worked with him like once or twice. And he's like, hey man, I heard about your fire, man. I couldn't make it to the benefit show, but do you want to go on the road with me and do a couple road gigs? And so I work anyway, long story short, I work with him a lot, and he's a good guy, and he gets me work, and people think that I'm funnier than he is. I wonder if he heard that.
Fuck you, Dale.
Fuck you, Dale.
We got to talk about Kiki Meets the Vampires.
Kiki Meets the Vampires. Okay.
Because I know you got two films that you were involved with. That was one. I like the title, Kiki Meets the Vampire. Who the frig is Kiki again?
Kiki, is a character in the movie. The guy's name is Kiki, and he is in a French band. And Greg, if you ask me to say the name of this band correctly, I can't do it. It's impossible. It's French.
Okay.
The first is LES, so it's les, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And the second name in the band begins with an F. And then it's like taking alphabet soup and throwing it against the wall.
Yeah, I see it listed here. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
I've even asked. I asked the guy involved, how do you pronounce this correctly? And he even said, he's like, I think it's said this way. And he says it, and I couldn't even impersonate it. So it's Las Foyes Foyes. That's how you say their name. Anyway, Kiki is in that band, and there's a band in the movie, and part of the movie was filmed in Kansas City, and part of it was filmed in Paris, France.
Okay.
And so Kiki is a character's name. He's one of the band members, and the story is this queen of the vampires. Wakes up from a sleep or whatever, and she sees this band on TV, and she goes, I want Kiki. And so she sends all these vampires to go find this Kiki. And in the meantime, it's a fun movie. There may be some plot holes in it, but there's a spoiler. Spoiler alert, I play twins, and there's a lot of Scooby-Doo references in this film, and it was fun to do. I loved it. I actually have an idea for a spinoff but I don't
Is
think
that
the guy.
movie, is it on Blu-ray? Is
That's
it
a good.
available at all?
You got to get a hold of the guy that made it. The guy's name is Joey Skidmore.
Okay.
He's the guy that produced, paid for it, directed. He's the guy that put this thing together. As far as it being on Blu-ray, I know there was talk of it going on a Blu-ray.
Well, sounds interesting. That's why I say.
There's a lot of nudity.
Uh-huh.
And then I get killed by a witch. And then later on, they're at my funeral, and who's this guy? And I play Wolf the vampire hunter. And then I get killed by a witch. And at my funeral, my brother Rolf shows up, and then he gets his heart torn out by vampires. And yeah, that's spoiler. So
You're involved in a lot of vampires because you're also on Vampire Holocaust, which I guess was written by Todd Sheets.
Yes.
Yeah, who worked with Linnea Quigley, and you play a character. I'm assuming it's called Pusshead, but I like to call it Pusshead.
Pusshead. I got a lot of flack for that when that came out. What are you, Pusshead? Hey, pussy. Head. Fucking zit, whatever they wanted to call me. Yeah, that was fun to do. There's a scene in that movie where the guy grabs me, and I'm a gang member, and I want to take over being the leader of the gang. But before I do that, vampires arrive and shenanigans, and I die. But there's a part where a guy grabs me and he puts me like in a headlock, and then he puts me down on a knee, and my face turns red, and I'm in pain, and I'm trying to do this. That was real pain because it was gravel and my knee was on a rock. And if you see that scene, you're like, wow, he's really his acting is wonderful. And that was just my knee on a rock. And but yeah, there was that Vampire Holocaust. There's another movie I did with Todd Sheets called Dead Things. I played
Dead
Jimmy.
Things. I think Dead Things is in the frying pan.
Yeah. The frying pan scene got edited. They cut that out. They said it was just too much.
Todd Sheets,
somebody you ought to get him on your show.
Well, you know what? I was given his information by who was it that gave it to me? Was it Elaine Dietz? I don't remember. Maybe it was Linnea Quigley. Because I've had Linnea on, I've met Linnea, and I've had her on my show. But I know Todd Sheets had directed her, and she gave me his information, and I called, but I never ever heard back. He's never picked up, so I'm like,
yeah, he's notorious for that. He's like, they told me I went and auditioned for another one of his movies. He goes, as soon as COVID's over, we'll get back with you. We got an idea for a spot for you. But that was a year ago. Haven't heard from him. You know.
I'm happy to have him on. I'm happy to have him on, but I mean, he's got to get back to me to book these things, you know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he's notorious for that. I don't want to say anything bad. He's a busy guy, you know. And I think his dog died like not too long ago, and that was hit him pretty hard. But whatever, you know. I'm also involved that Joey Skidmore, the guy that did Kiki, he did a movie that I'm pretty proud of. It's a documentary on the band Black Oak, Arkansas. Are you familiar with them by any chance? Huge. They were big in the 70s, and they sing that song, Jim Dandy to the rescue, Jim Dandy to the rescue. Go, Jim Dandy, go, Jim Dandy. You know what you look like you have no idea what I'm talking about. Okay. Well, let's just put that story in the frying pan. Put that story. There's a documentary on the band Black Oak, Arkansas, and I am in there with. He wanted me to tell a few jokes, but there's other people involved. Greg, Danny Trejo's in it.
Oh, there you go. Good company.
Linda Blair's in it.
Ah, nice.
Of
Of course, for her, it'll be split beef soup in the frying pan.
Yeah. That's even more gross. That's even worse. Shit or fucking green peas. What's his name? Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, Bad Santa himself.
Bad Santa. Billy Bob Thornton's in it. Jello Biafra. I don't know if you're familiar with him. They're all in this. And by the way, my name on the credits is above Billy Bob Thornton. I don't know. That's my big friend. That's how they introduce me now. You know, when I do a comedy show, his name is above Billy Bob Thornton on a smooth. Anyway, that's a credit. But it's a neat documentary about them, and they just made me tell a few jokes, and that's that was the thing that I like. It's called something shit. I forgot the name of it, but it's a documentary about Jim Dandy and Black Oak, Arkansas. I don't know. Since I've been on your show, I'm on an episode. Well, I got paid. I've got the tax paperwork. I'm on they revamped the show, Unsolved Mysteries. And
oh, you've already told me a few mysteries tonight.
like not another one. So I got to be on an episode. If you watch the trailer, you can see me walking behind a tree, and that's it. That's my big there.
You taking a piss on that tree before somebody comes at you?
No, I got a frying pan, is what it was, and it was a camping frying pan.
You should do a movie called Raw Chicken and Frying Pans.
Right. Guess who's coming for dinner? Part 2.
Get Linda Blair in it.
Linda.
She's going from both ends.
Oh.
Holy cow.
Disgusting, Greg. Oh, write the script now. Write the script.
Oh, I'm sure Lloyd Kaufman and Trauma would fund that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm making a trauma film? Yeah, that'd be. Or another Friday the 13th. Like, even Jason won't fuck with that.
No.
Comes across a girl shitting in a frying pan. Jason just turns around, walks away.
Oh, Jay, I just got this in the mail. I interviewed the director of it, and this was something weird. Pro wrestlers versus zombies. Have you ever heard of that?
No, that's great. Pro wrestlers versus zombies.
I've had Cody Knox, the director, on twice, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it's basically these wrestlers are put in this prison. They're supposed to wrestle, and these zombies are unleashed on them. And it's got Rowdy Roddy Piper. It's got Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Shane Douglas, Matt Hardy, Kurt Angle.
Wow.
Yep.
Those are some big. I'm not real versed in wrestling, but those are some big names. I've heard them before anyway. And
yeah, it's a pretty odd movie.
You gotta like those odd movies. Those are the good ones. And yeah, it seems to be the movies that I'm in are odd. So
well, that's why I keep asking about Kiki Meets the Vampire. I'm like, there's something, you know.
Yeah, it's a fun movie to watch. It's a little over an hour, so it's not that long. Like I say, there's lots of nudity, so that's fun. And then you get to see me die twice, so it's really worth the money.
Well, any other projects you got coming up that you want to plug on here?
Yes, since we're not sure on the release date of this, I'll go ahead and I'm going to announce it since we're not sure. Mm-hmm. By the way, that was James that just walked by. I am working on a project.
He doesn't look at the camera because he knows what you've been talking about tonight. Doesn't want to associate with it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to have anything to do with frying pan poop. And he's not that kind of guy. I am currently involved in a project right now, and we're set to. I'm gonna just guess we're gonna have it out within the next maybe 2 weeks, roughly. I don't know when this is gonna come on, but it's called Metal Mom,
Okay.
and it's basically my mom and me talking about heavy metal, and there's gonna be a lot of comedy involved. And a lot of metal, a lot of heavy metal music involved. And my mom, my mom is getting to be more popular than I am especially on Facebook.
Okay.
And she comes to the shows, and everybody loves her. And I just think of all
I
the-
think she's the one that likes a lot of my posts about you too.
she probably she sure is a stalker. For me, I'm starting to see stuff that she's liked from 3 years ago. I'm like, good grief, mother.
Mhm.
And but we've got the intro filmed. We're starting to get the website. It's going to be Hey Metal Mom. The show's going to be called Metal Mom. It's her and I discussing and talking about heavy metal music, stories, telling stories when I was younger. And like she talks about how she knew it was a good show when I'd come home with bruises all over me, and I'd come home, I'd be talking like this.
Mhm.
Oh, my head hurts. I can hardly hear. And she goes, was it good? Oh, it was a great show. It was a great. She goes, I always knew it was a great show if you talked funny. And it is heymetalmom.com. The site is up, and they can email questions for her to answer.
Mhm.
We've got heymetalmom@gmail.com. And we've got some stuff already filmed that's in the editing process right now. We're going to be filming a little bit more tomorrow. I'm pretty comfortable on how funny the stuff is that we've filmed so far. And it started out as an idea of one of those reaction videos.
Mhm.
And it's kind of taken a twist, and I'm happy with the direction that it's going. Because some of those reaction videos, they're interesting, they're cool, but they're a little long. And in comedy, you really gotta keep it going. Bam, bam, bam. You gotta keep it going. So I've got a few ideas on how to keep it going on that, but. She tells stories of me. There's a story where when I was 15, I wanted to go see Sammy Hagar. And really, the reason why I wanted to see Sam, it was when he came out with I Can't Drive 55. And he was on a show, and I think it's a Canadian show.
Okay.
Rockline. Have you ever heard of Rockline? Okay. Anyway, there's just a show called Rockline, and you can call up and ask the guys questions. And Sammy Hagar was talking about all the girls showing their tits.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to go see Sammy Hagar, not because of I Can't Drive 55, but I wanted to see the chicks showing their boobs. And my mom wouldn't let me go. She would not let me go see, and she didn't know why. She just, I was 15 and she was thinking drugs and shit like that, and that I shouldn't go. She wouldn't let me go. Fast forward about 30 years later, my mom calls me up out of the blue. She goes, guess where I'm at? And I'm like, where are you at? She goes, I'm here seeing Sammy Hagar. And I'm like, oh, you fucking. So it's stuff like that's going to be on there, and that's something I wanted to get out. Thank you for reminding me of that. But yeah, Hey Metal Mom, heymetalmom.com and heymetalmom@gmail.com. Coming out soon. Check that out. It's me and my mom. You'll love her. Everybody loves my mom. And and I do too on Tuesdays or whenever I feel like it. I love my mom today. Anyway, but thanks for having me on, man. I don't know where we're going after this, but I hope that this episode will have more than I'm hoping to get into the three digits on viewers.
You know what? When I put your I know your first one's going to have its 4-year anniversary.
Yeah, 4 years.
And I always post them on their anniversaries. Share those, like share them on
Yeah.
Facebook and stuff, because that always helps, you know.
Okay.
But I never know what's going to get views.
Right.
I
Right.
never know what's going to get views, and it's usually a surprise, you know. But I loved the first interview we did, and this one here, like I didn't think you could top the raw chicken joke, and then you had to talk about somebody shitting in a frying pan, and I'm like, I never heard that one. I still haven't got that image out of my head.
You're gonna have nightmares about it, dude. You're not even gonna be able to cook anymore for a while.
No, I don't think so.
Next time you go to grab a frying pan, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna, well, not me, but
yeah.
you're gonna have a girl come over. She's gonna, honey, will you make me some eggs? And you're like, no, I can't. Can't grab the frying pan.
Phobia. Phobia, can't do it.
I don't know if I can top that story though.
I loved it, you know, and I never forgot that raw chicken one. I was like, because I always thought you were funny, and I never forgot it, you know. And I was like, I just got thinking this year. I know I called you last year when I didn't have this set up, but I was like, yeah, I got to have Dale back. I got to get an update. I'm glad I had you back. The update was worth it.
Yeah. Well, man, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. This is fun. It was fun then. It's fun now. Hopefully things will happen to where if I'm on again, I can top the shit frying pan story. But I don't know. I don't know if I can do that. That'll be a tough one. But I'm really having a good time. Thanks, man, for having me on. I'm just rambling now at this point. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway.
Well, you know what? I thank you for coming on and being my guest for a second time. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, whenever you get this thing going with your mom and whatnot, I could have you back.
All right, and maybe I'll bring her along. Who knows if she's still around? Then you know. But
well, if you can get both of you on the same screen there, bug your friend there so that he has to put up with you again.
Yeah, he's tired of putting up with me.
Yeah, I'll put you on next year's list and for 2022 and have you back and get the update. Yeah, if you want your mom on with you, that'd be fun. Sure, I'd be open to that.
Okay, all right. Maybe she might. Oh, my mom used to be a nurse. And she's told me some stories that she got one in particular that may top the frying pan one, but we'll leave the viewers in suspense on that one.
Sure, we'll have her on there with you next year, and
that's her story, so I can't tell her story, but anyway, man, great time, man. Thank you for having me on. I have fun, and I looking forward for this to come out, and definitely stay in touch, man.
I've got your number, and yes, I'll definitely stay in touch. And yeah, it was a pleasure and honor to have you on. I think you're hilarious. Don't let anybody ever tell you. Don't let anybody ever put the doubt in your mind.
Okay, well, I wish you were a booking agent. Anyway, thanks, man. Thank you.
All right, you take care. God bless, and you have yourself a wonderful evening. And get out of that place before that guy, so that guy can go to sleep.
Right, it's about his bedtime. Yeah.
Go read him a bedtime story.
I'll read him stories about frying pans and chicken. And
I bet you he'd like that.
Keep him up all night.
You take it easy, man. God bless.
See you later, man. Take care, man.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yep.
See, now we got to figure out how to turn it off.